Hello, everyone. This is the regular meeting of the Inland Wetlands Commission of New Canaan for Monday, June 15th. Let me call the meeting to order. Will the secretary take the roll, please? Angela? Oh. Wait. Angela?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I beg your pardon. Mr. Stepanek?
Here.
Ms. Jameson, present. Ms. Bernali?
Present.
Ms. Matrakis? Ms. Matrakis?
She's here.
Sorry.
Mr. Dobbin?
Here.
Ms. Kirby?
She's absent.
Mr. Perkins?
Absent.
Ms. Voike?
Absent.
Ms. Ross?
Absent, I guess. Yep, absent.
Mr. Sillo?
And he's absent also. So all the alternates are absent, right?
Correct.
All right, so approval of the agenda. Do y'all have a copy of tonight's agenda? If you have some issues with it, just raise your hands. If not, I am accepting, I assume that it's okay with everyone. No problems. Okay.
I move approval.
All right. We need a second.
I'll second.
Kristen seconds it. Okay. Approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of May 18th. You all have a copy of that? Any deletions, questions? If not, can I hear a second? I'll second it. I'll approve it. And who's going to second? Angela?
I'll second.
You second. You have two permits. We will have two applications for July. Permit number 19-2035, 75 Pheasant Drive, Gene Nazaro. And permit number 19-2036, 554 North Wilton Road, Agent Albert Vasco. Regarding the site visit for these, at this point, we'll expect everyone to do the site visits on their own. And if you don't, Kathleen, I guess that we're considering, if they open up the virus situation, that we may have a group site visit, but probably not at this time. Is that right, Kathleen?
That's correct. We're waiting further orders from the governor and town policy regarding doing a joint site visit. Also, as far as the water company property, I'll be coordinating with the water company due to their security reasons for their property. So I will get back to the commission members regarding how we're going to conduct those site visits coming up for July. We have some time to figure it out, so hopefully we will get you something probably first or second week in July. We'll know how we're going to actually be doing those site visits.
Thank you. Open regular meeting, application number 19-2031, 434 Ponus Ridge Road, Barbara Wilson, landscaped architect.
Good evening, commission members. My name is Barbara Wilson. I'm a licensed landscape architect from here in New Canaan. I'm presenting for Jennifer and Michael Scioli. I do have a PowerPoint presentation. Kathleen, can you upload it, please?
What we were going to do, Barbara, if you could ask me, send me an email to, or how does that work, Chris?
Or I can share my screen.
Right, she just clicks on the share for the share request. You're good.
Or I can share from my screen.
Correct.
What do you prefer, Chris?
No, it's all right if Barbara does it. It's absolutely fine. She'll
Okay.
just click share, and then you'll answer yes, and she can put her screen up for everyone.
Okay.
There you go.
You got it?
Wow. Okay. Good. All right.
She knows what she's
Yay.
doing.
Been doing this for,
Yeah,
so anyway.
Barbara's a pro.
Yeah, so this is the parcel right here. It's 2.3 acres. There is an existing house that was built in, I think it was 1967. There is an existing pool here, and it's accessed by a very long driveway to Ponus Ridge Road. So this is the configuration of the property. There's, 3 owners on this side, 1 owner on this side, and then land trust property behind. This is an aerial view of the property. It's mostly a wooded, this section of their property is mostly wooded, and part of that is wetlands. Then they have open lawn in the front and the back, and then the wetlands sort of wraps around the pool. So these are some pictures of the existing conditions at different times of the year. This was in the fall last year, standing at the backyard of the house where the septic system is, looking down towards the covered pool. This is one a little closer by back where their garage is, looking towards the land trust property over here. There's a slight pond. Then this is standing in their driveway, looking over the pool towards the land trust property again. Their septic system is up here. The driveway is right where I'm standing. You'll notice that there's not a pool code compliant fence. This was fenced in just to keep their young kids out. The owners just purchased the property 2 years ago and are doing some renovations in the house. And now they want to get the pool up and running this year. And there's some issues. 1, there's no pool code compliant fence. 2, we don't even know if the pool will run, so they might have to do some renovations. And then this is the intermittent water course, which runs along the side of the property, or the side of where the pool site is. And then if all of you went out on a site walk to visit this, I did put some orange flags in the wetlands. So here's the pool. This has been filled clearly to do the pool. Then the wetlands starts right by this orange flag, and you can see the other orange flags here in the background. So it's basically paralleling this tree line, which is running along the intermittent water course. Then at the other end of the pool, it goes around these 3 actually red maples. And then the 2 lines are here aiming towards the pool equipment, which is here. And then you can see it curve towards the gate, and then it goes off towards the land trust. So this is the far end of the pool. So here's the line here, and then it curves around. So right now, this part of the wetlands inside the existing pool enclosure fence is lawn, and we're proposing to remove that. Here is the wetland soils report. Most of this is, there is some wetlands which were flagged and on the adjacent portion of the property which were not impacting, but they are saying that probably some of the area underneath the pool could have been wetlands at some time back in the 60s. So here's an overall plot plan of the property. Here's the house, set about 2/3 of the way back on the lot. Here's Ponus Ridge. You access by a long driveway, which you notice parallels. This is the wetland, flagged wetland line right here. Goes to here, and then it goes through the wooded wetlands that they have here. And then it goes up to almost the pool equipment or where the gate was, and then circles back. So this area is all wetlands. So right now there's the existing pool, the existing house. We are proposing to do this new work that's in a little darker shade. I'll go to the next plan. So what is proposed? The clients want to make this a little more usable for their family. They want to have a slightly larger patio. They want to have a path and stairs leading down to the pool area that's safe. Right now it's a very steep hill. It's about a 10-foot difference from this part of their house to their drive under garage here. So they want to make it safer for the kids and their parents to come visit. and also provide a dry walkway up from the garage area. They also want to expand the patio. Right now, there's only a little bit of patio here so that they can have family gatherings in the pool. We are proposing to take out the existing pool enclosure fence, which starts at the garage, runs parallel to the end of the driveway, then basically runs, if you follow my marker, all the way down along the intermittent water course, then goes to the property line, which is a stone wall, runs up to here, and then the existing one wraps around the pool equipment and then goes straight back towards the garage. We are planning to take all of that pool enclosure fence out and put in new pool enclosure fence that meets current codes with a gate by this walkway and a gate to access the pool equipment. The pool fence now will be set back from the edge of the driveway so that they have a snow shelf and can put some plantings in here. So you'll notice it's a little bit further back. The darker line is the new pool fence. And then it will come 9 feet off the existing pool patio, which will be more up the hump of the fill from where the pool was, go straight back to the property line, follow the property line, then come up here and wrap around the pool equipment and then go straight back towards the new fence here with a gate here and the gate there. So we are reducing the impact into the wetlands. We are removing it totally, the fence totally here. We are going to leave the fence on the property line because it makes sense that there is, there'd be no way for them to maintain it if they didn't do that. So we're also removing these huge boulders that are at the end of the lawn area here at the end of the pool. And then these bubbled areas is where we are going to plan to take out the lawn and put in new plantings. That is going to be about 2,700 square feet of disturbed wetlands that we are now going to plant with shrubs and ground covers. The new patio area in the pool area is 495 square feet. All of this is in the or part of this is in the upland review area. So the upland review area comes like this, goes down to the pool, and then aims that away. So only a portion of the new patio is in there, but I gave you the whole amount. We are going to leave the grade as existing. We're not going to change any grades. We're going to remove the existing metal fence. And then here is the picture of what the new plantings are going to be. They're still going to maintain some lawn areas. They're going to have new shrubs plantings here. And then the wetland mitigation plantings are all down in this area between the intermittent water course and the new fence. And then at the bottom of the slope of the lawn here that's existing to here. So we're going to have 2 types of trees. We're going to have shadbush and willows. We're going to have some wetland mitigation shrubs, clethra, red twig dogwood and winterberry, and then an assortment of perennials and some grasses, some carex, some turtlehead, some milkweed, some ferns to be the ground covers and sort of perennials in that area. So basically that's what we're planning to do. We will have silt fences installed before any of the work starts and try to minimize the work. Right now, we're planning to try to open the pool if we get permission and put in the fences. That'll be our first step. So that's it for me.
Can I get the other people? Oh, there you are. Thank you.
Yep, sorry.
Do we have any comments or questions? Angela?
I need to unmute myself, yes?
Yes.
Right. Okay, I think you can hear me, yes?
Yes. Everybody can hear Angela, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good. So, Barbara, thank you for the presentation. I think you said that the only fence that will be in the wetlands is actually existing fence along the property line at the back. Is that correct?
Well, there is existing fence. We're going to put, it's not pool code compliant, but we are
Yeah.
going to put new pool code compliant fence back in the same location.
Right, so that will be the only fence in the wetlands.
Yes.
Okay. And then I had a second question, and that is, are there any invasives that need to be removed from the property?
No, so right now it's basically lawn that goes up to the edge of the intermittent water courses where there's some red maple trees. So basically the only thing we're taking out is lawn.
Thank you.
Barbara, what the intermittent stream on the side, where is that water coming from and where does that go?
So do you want me to show you on a plan? Because I can show that to you. I can share it again.
Okay.
Okay.
And how deep does it get?
It's probably about 6 inches. So what happens is this stream actually starts somewhere up on Ponus Ridge, comes under their driveway in a pipe. I think it's piped from, and Kathy might know, I think there's some pipe from the other side of Ponus Ridge that brings it underneath, comes here, and there's a culvert under their driveway, and then it runs through this wooded wetlands like this, and then it just sort of spreads out.
Oh,
There's actually a wall here, so it just sort of dies. It looks to me a man-made ditch.
Hmm.
I shouldn't say that out loud, should I? But
Does
that's
it
what it looks
spread
like.
out in the wetlands there behind on the side, what would they be, the east side of the pool?
Yeah,
Is there water
I
collecting in?
should have left it up there. So yes, so what happens is here's the pool.
Yes.
The flagged wetland line goes like this, which parallels their driveway. And then this intermittent water course goes like this and just follows it and is basically on the edge of the wetlands here and there. So it looks to me like somebody back in the 60s ditched it to try to maybe make this drier over here, because it's a beautiful kind of flat wooded area that's actually wetlands, but you can't really tell.
Okay. Well, the reason I ask this is because is there any work that you're going to do to increase the flow in that brook in any way?
No, flow is staying the same. Nothing is changing in the grades or the flow. It actually might be less flow from the pool area now that we're not having lawn where it just sort of runs off. We'll have some shrubs, you know, and ground covers and ferns to capture some more of the water down here.
Okay.
And there'll be less possible pollutants or things like that because there's less lawn.
Kathleen?
And Dan, I just want to add, and Barbara, you can also chime in as well. The intermittent water course flows, I think, off the property into a piece owned by Land Trust to the west, sort of in that general location, and then there's a large pond on that property.
Yes.
It's not a significant flow that comes through there. It's probably seasonally dry during the low flow periods, but her description is correct. It's coming off of the Ponus Ridge area, mostly fed by road runoff and storm related. And it probably was ditched back in the 60s and created that intermittent water course that you have on the property.
It is dry most of the year, so I should have showed other times of the year.
The other question I had, you have a foundation there of some sort or support for a diving board. Has that been taken out? In the photograph you showed.
We're going to leave the concrete there, and if there's any metal up, we're going to cut it down just so that they can use it like a patio.
I see. Any other questions? Yes, Beth.
Barbara, the section of the fence that's in the wetlands,
What is involved in putting the post in for the fence? Are those put in concrete, or how is that work done?
So I think that we're doing either chain link or the deer fencing, and those are just usually posts that we hammer. Most of them we hammer in, and then the corner ones we put in concrete. So there'll be one at the corner where the two fences meet, and then another one for sure in concrete up near the pool equipment. Whether we have any in between, that depends on the client hasn't finished making up their mind whether they want chain link or the deer fencing, the wire. So it'll be few concrete footings.
And a second question, do the requirements for a code compliance fence require that the fence be on the property line? In other words, could the fence still be code compliant and be outside of the wetlands?
Yes, but then how are they going to get outside the fence to take care of their property between, because it would have to be at the bottom of the slope. Did you go to the property?
No, unfortunately, I wasn't able to.
So what happens is the pool is like this, and then it goes steep down. So if we got out of the wetlands, it would have to be on that steep slope, partially down the steep slope. And then we still would have to maintain the outside, and I didn't really want to put a gate on that side. Previous owner, Kathleen and I had a chat. Previous owner seemed to have done some things out there that they shouldn't have. So we're trying to just lock everybody out. I think it would be harmful to the client because then they couldn't access their property. Right now they have a fence on that whole property line because there's a stone wall there.
Is the pool leaking, Barbara?
How's this? The pool guy doesn't think it's been up and running for years. The owners told me that when they went to sell it, they must have power washed it, filled it with water. So we don't know if it runs. We don't know if it leaks. And we didn't want to do anything until we had permission to do something there because we're so close to the wetlands. And in the review area, that was our judgment call to get a permit first before we did anything. I have a feeling we're going to have to redo pool equipment and redo piping that connects to it. Whether the vessel, they said it was made by, I can't remember the company, but they made the gunite pools, and they were a pretty reputable company. So it probably may not be leaking. I just put it that way.
Any other questions?
I've got a question. Barbara, the new pool decking, is it going to match exactly the old pool decking, or are you doing some sort of permeable treatment, or?
Yes, so we're going to use concrete pavers on stone dust, which is permeable.
Oh, great. Okay.
Colin, you have something?
Yeah, I did read the papers, but the papers are on my iPad, so I'd have to switch back and forth. So please excuse if it's, was the land trust notified of this, and did they have any comments?
Yes, and they did call me, so we did have a talk about it. They're fine with it, yes.
Thank you.
Kathleen?
Just a reminder, prior to speaking, if you could just say Colin Dahlman for the record or Kristen Matrakis for the record, just so that it's clear on the Zoom, because we have some folks that don't have video up, so they can only hear voices. So just a reminder, can we just get in the habit of doing that? Thank you.
What do you think, Kathleen? Any summary or overall results of this? How do you feel about it? Kathleen?
I see Beth has a question. Can we go
Oh,
to
I'm
Beth
sorry.
first, and
I'm
then
sorry.
I can summarize?
Beth?
It's okay. Beth Bernelli for the record. I had one additional question. On the application, there seemed to be one question that was not answered. Sorry, this is kind of a niggly point, but it was the question about whether this property has a conservation or preservation restriction.
Not that I'm aware of.
And what would that be if they did? I mean, where, if she said yes, what would that mean, Beth? I'm not quite clear on that.
I can, Dan, Kathleen Helen for the record, I can check right now. I believe I have the deed here. If it was included with the application. More than likely there is nothing, but it's always a question that we do ask on the wetland applications to determine. Sometimes people will put particular things into the deed that run with the land, such as you can't have a fence in the wetlands or something, maybe not as specific, or you can't do tree removal. So conservation easements can be any variety of things, and they do run with the property. Barbara, on the paperwork that I brought home, because I'm zooming from home, I don't have that at my fingertips. Do you happen to have that deed, or were you unable to get it from the town clerk? I think we did have a problem with.
I wasn't able to get it from the town clerk, but you did attach it to things, and I'd have to go search on my files. Do you want me to search?
I have a copy of the deed. It doesn't appear that there's a conservation restriction in it. I was just trying to confirm.
Okay, thank you, Beth. I'm glad you have it. Yeah, I also did have it, but it is on my phone, and I didn't get into the folder as of yet. So there is nothing precluding them from any of the activities that Barbara's outlined. And Dan, if you're ready for my summary, I'm happy to give that now.
Let me ask Barbara one more question. Can you pull up the areas that you're going to do some work on, Barbara? The darkened areas. The brown patio next to the house. What are you going to do work on that up there? Yes.
Yes. So they may do this in phases, but that's going to be the same concrete pavers on stone dust, along with stairs that go with it. The Unilock or Nickel Lock product. We haven't finalized what that is yet. So there is going to be a patio. There is an existing patio that's about half the size right now that exists. It's brick. It's very uneven and unlevel. They just put a new door in their house here, and they don't have stairs to get out. So that was part of the trying to create a new patio with stairs to get out and access this. So this might be in phases. This might be phase 1. This might be phase 2. This is outside of the upland review area, which is down here. So this, or down here actually, all the way down here. So most of this is out of the upland review area, but we did decide to show it to you. So this will probably go first after they fix the pool, so they can play in it this summer.
So if we approve it, you're going to move right ahead very quickly. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Kathleen?
I see Angela is waving her hand. Do you want to grab her before you get to me?
Barbara,
Okay. Angela, I'm gonna.
could you take that off, Barbara, so I can see everybody? Please. Thank you. There you go.
Thank you. So I just had a follow-up question on work for the pool. Barbara, is there any kind of possibility that, you know, the swimming pool is actually so messed up that you would need to do any work that would be in the upland review area, or kind of even in the wetland to repair it and make it a functioning pool?
So the connection, there is existing pool equipment, which was on that plan.
Yeah.
Pool equipment staying on the same pad, and the pipes basically go from that diagonally to sort of the corner of where the existing pool patio and the new pool patio is going to go. So the only thing I think that they're going to have to do is for sure dig trenches for the pipes to connect the pool back to the pool equipment, and potentially trench around the outside if there's any connections on the outside of the vessel. The vessel itself, they thought it was actually pretty good. So I don't think we have to jackhammer the concrete or anything, but there will probably have to be work on the outside of that, which is not, and none of that is in the wetlands.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Kathleen?
Okay, just to follow up on Angela's question, Barbara and I also had a similar discussion at the site, looking at the pool and not really being able to have a full investigation of its functionality in its current state. So we are somewhat prepared that she's already locked down that the pool equipment and the trenching will be able to be done from the existing pool in the upland review area back to the existing, to the pool location. So that's good. Fingers crossed they won't have to do a full redo of the shell of the pool. And even if they were made to do that, it is in the upland review area, so I think we could accommodate that to some degree. As I mentioned in my staff report, I think the plan that Barbara's laid out is well developed for the homeowners' purposes of functionality, utilizing the existing space that they have, and hits on both enhancements to a portion of the upland review area and then actually mitigation, which we often don't see when folks come in for these types of plans. So these folks are taking it a step further and actually removing grassed wetlands out of the wetlands and going forward with a fairly well-developed enhancement plan for shrubbery, trees, and things that Barbara has laid out on her plan. So we're going to get a plus, I think, on that, on the overall outcome. There'll be a temporary disturbance to remove the grasses that are in there, but at the end of the day, the enhancements will help. Going back to something that Beth raised regarding the fence in the wetlands, that's a tough one. We always struggle with that. We have an existing fence. It's not pool compliant. We know that. That has to be changed, and that's a building code function. I think the enhancements that will be done to the wetlands with the plantings, having a fence on the outside of those plants in wetlands is a better plan than having it closer to the pool because of deer browse and everything else that will happen to those plants. The method of installation of the fence posts have been considered, and it's what we would ask them to do, to drive in the iron bars, limit the amount of post hole digging. Everything is proposed to be done by hand with no heavy machinery, so as little impact as possible to the existing wetlands is also beneficial. I think that summarizes some of the thoughts that I was hearing on your discussion and had thought about as well. Are there any other questions for me?
Are there any special conditions at all, Kathleen? No.
The only thing that I called out on the, should you guys wish to approve the plan as proposed, was that with the wetland mitigation, there should be oversight from the landscape architect from the actual implementation and monitoring and then management of that area going forward. And I would coordinate that or ask that to be coordinated through the landscape architect. And then once we get a year out from the actual planting, that we do have a final report from the landscape architect that says we're successful, we're not, we had to change this, or we substituted certain plants. As far as anything else, my sense is that if the family or the pool investigator runs into troubles that were unforeseen, I will hear about those troubles. They'll come in through a building permit application process anyway, so I'll be looking at that. And if we had to add on an administrative review for something different than what they are perceiving to do with the pool, I think I can handle that through an administrative review if the commission was satisfied with that.
Okay. So what was the special condition? Is there a special condition in that, Kathleen? What you just said?
I had just written into the staff report that if approved, implementation, monitoring, and management of the newly installed wetland landscaping should be coordinated by the landscape architect with a final report supplied to the inland wetland agent upon final establishment of plant material.
Any comments on that? Any? Can I hear a motion with that special condition? Colin,
I'll move to approve.
can I hear a second?
I'll
And-
second.
Everyone that's in favor, raise your hands. All those opposed, raise their hands. Motion's carried with that special condition.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Barbara.
Okay, good seeing you guys.
Thank you, Barbara. Well done. Thank you, Barbara.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, moving along. Application number 19-2032, 392 Greenlee Road. Lauren Sullivan, Solitude Lake Management. Lauren, there you are. I see you, yes. Do you have a presentation, Lauren?
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep, I have a figure site plan that I can share. I'll share my screen. Can everyone see that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so my name is Lauren Sullivan. I'm from Solitude Lake Management, working with our client Jack Hellman. He's located at 392 Greenlee Road. The property next to his is the New Canaan Land Trust. So it's a joint application. This the pond on their property. We are proposing to hydro-rake within this highlighted area. Over the years, there's just been a buildup of organic material and it's losing a lot of depth, transitioning to upland and really restricting the flow from the inlet. The inlet is located on the southern portion down in this end, and that's probably where most of the hydro-raking will occur, and up by the dam right here. So the hydro-rake is going to be craned in from the driveway over here to reduce any kind of disturbance to the land. And it works within the water, removing the material. It will bring the material to this location here and deposit on the shore. This will also be lined with hay bales. And then there will be a landscape crew on site to receive the material and move it up into this area to ultimately decompose. This area will also be lined with hay bales, allowing the material to dewater. So, I mean, the goal mainly is to restore flow, allow some native vegetation to come back, and improve overall water quality within this pond. The land trust is on board and is well aware of the project, so there's no issue with that. And so he's actually going to be doing around 5 days of hydro-raking if approved, which wouldn't be this whole, I have the whole area highlighted, but it wouldn't be that whole portion. It's mainly going to be this southern area and up here.
Lauren, one more time. Where is the land trust property? Can you kind of use the cursor?
So
there?
it's this whole parcel, yep, right here. So it's actually, the land trust owns more of the property than Jack Hellman. They have 0.4 of the 0.62 acres.
And then across the pond from that, whose property is that? No, that's Hellman's property, right?
Over here, this one?
No, across. That would be going, I guess, going well, the east, I guess, then.
over here.
Yes, in there.
I'm not sure that, I know that they're an abutter who has been notified, but I'm not positive their actual name. But I did send a notification out to them.
Did you get a response back or anything? Anything?
No.
No. All right. Any questions? I think it's a marvelous pond, quite frankly. And you have aerators in there right now, don't you?
I don't think so. Aerators, like fountains?
Well, there's bubbles coming up in various sections of the pond. When I was there last week.
Oh, that might be a new addition since I've visited.
There was one.
Snapping turtles.
What is it?
Snapping turtle.
Snapping turtles.
Maybe it's gas or something coming up or something. I don't know. But there was about 3. Angela, do you have a comment on that? You're muted,
Do I
Angela.
have to stop sharing?
No, I had a
No,
question.
you
something
can
else.
leave it up.
Okay.
And, you know, it was clearly stated in the application, you clearly stated it in your presentation, but I'm still going, what, wow, you can actually crane in this piece of heavy equipment all that distance from the driveway round the property itself, and it ends up here.
Yeah, so it will be, so it's gonna be just like craned over. He has trees right here, arborvitaes. So it'll be craned over those into here. It's about, I wanna say 60 feet, maybe 80 feet. I mean, it's not cheap, but it's possible.
Okay. And then it will kind of basically motor up from there all the way up the pond and do what it needs to do.
Yep, there's an operator, it's an operator driven machine, and the operator drives it back and forth, scoops up the material, places it on shore. So
Yeah.
it does take a while because there's no storage on the hydro rake. So if he's working all the way down here, like takes one scoop and then he has to go up here and drop it off, it can be time consuming for sure.
And in your application, you did discuss alternative methods, but could you perhaps just briefly go over what alternatives were considered and why you think this is the best way of doing it?
Yes. So I know, I'm trying to think of what I put in here for alternatives. Yeah, bottom weed barriers, which, I mean, it's basically the cost of those, and it's not very effective for a larger area like this. And it's just, there's already so much organic material there that I don't see that being successful. And same with dredging. I mean, hydro raking is, some people consider it dredging, but actual hydraulic dredging is, again, just very expensive. So hydro raking is a good alternative for this, and I think it's the best option. And we do, I mean, chemical treatments isn't going to help with, or herbicides wouldn't really help with just the buildup of organic material. That would be more focused on just strictly vegetation removal. So.
Has the pond ever been dredged?
No.
Really?
Got a question. Kristen Matrakis for the record. Do you have any sense of how long this treatment will last?
Yeah, so, I mean, so basically it's up to the client with his budget on how long he wants us to hydro rake. right now we have, I think, 5 days scheduled. I would estimate we'd maybe regain a foot of depth within that time. And it's gonna last for years. It's just, he actually might end up wanting to do more next summer too. If he could do it in like a phased approach, then that would be helpful. So then it's kind of like a maintenance program where we can come back again next year and do a little bit more, which would help too.
Lauren, you have a lot of trees hanging over the water there. I mean, unless you trim those trees back or something, it's going to continue to get all clogged up, and you're gonna need to do this more often. I can say that.
Yeah. Yep. And he's aware that it's probably going to be a multi-year project depending on his budget.
Anyone else? Oh, Angela.
This is Angela Jameson. So are we being asked to consider a permit that would allow work to take place over a number of years, Kathleen?
The permit that is issued is good for 5 years.
Right.
If they were to, stage this year, do as much as they can dredging wise, I think we should probably be notified, if they were to go back in again next year and the year after. So it's not really meant to, the 5-year timing is more associated with people have a chance to start their project within 5 years and complete. So we probably would want an additional special condition that addressed the re-entering of the pond and resetting up the staging area, so that at least I was aware that they were doing the dredging in subsequent years. But I think we probably could accommodate it, and also obviously with the land trust agreement as well.
I think that sounds like a good idea to have that as a special condition, personally.
I agree.
Lauren, excuse me, Lauren, is the applicant, is Mr. Hellman, is he paying for the whole thing, or is the land trust paying for part of this?
Mr. Hellman's paying for the whole thing, yeah.
Any other questions? Kathleen? Yes.
I just wanted to add, the craning in of the equipment was not the preferable choice. It's really done out of necessity. Lauren and her team did reach out to a neighbor who has an access way. If you were able to put up that map that shows the area, Lauren, and maybe just explain that you did explore another way to move the equipment into the site. So if you just go over that a little bit and how you ended up with the crane option, unfortunately.
Yeah, so there's actually a driveway right here that goes down. And originally we were thinking it would be possible to get the hydro rake in through this location by bringing it down here. The hydro rake comes in on a trailer. We typically back it into the water body and just launch it like that if there's good access. But really, I didn't think that it was possible because we'd have to clear a lot of this like woods and the trees and stuff as well. So that's why I kind of pushed more for the crane. And then we were also going to be getting a piece of equipment, a bobcat down here as well. And that would have been brought down by a trailer, but the neighbor did not want us to use his driveway to bring in any equipment either. So that was kind of vetoed. And then we came up with just having a crew here with wheels. Talking about the other option. We have originally were trying to use this driveway to bring in a loader machine to use for the disposal portion of the project. However, the neighbor did not allow that. So that's part of the reason why we are just using a landscape crew on site. But I do think it's the better option anyways, because we're just going to be doing way less disturbance to that wooded area behind the pond.
Okay. And did you want to see if there were any questions from any other commission members?
Lauren, is that strip, that narrow strip, is that a road?
Yep, it's a driveway.
And they wouldn't let your applicant or your client use the road, huh?
Yeah, so I guess they had previous issues where they allowed another neighbor to use it for some kind of pool construction where they brought in equipment and their driveway was damaged.
Oh, wow.
Previously. So they kind of had bad experience with it in the past, so.
Got it.
Yeah.
Anyone have any, I can't see, does anybody have any questions? If they do, speak up. Is everybody still here, Kathleen?
Yes, everyone's there. You should have a full screen now and to be able to see who's ever has their camera going.
I got it. Colin, you there? Yep. We're all back. Any questions? No questions, okay. Angela?
Well, this is really curiosity on my part. How does the land trust access its property if it can't go up that driveway?
That's a good question.
Kathleen, do you know?
I don't know. I'm trying to remember. It's really a tucked away piece in a lot of ways. Now that I think about it, I think Land Trust actually does have a co-ownership to allow walking up that driveway. I'm not certain. I don't want to speak out of turn, but there could be something that allows foot traffic, but it certainly doesn't get them to the other side of the pond where Land Trust owns some land as well. I don't know. I could follow up with Aaron LaFleur from Land Trust and find out what their thoughts are on.
Well,
I don't think.
You know, I was just curious. I don't think that it's really kind of, you know, necessary for considering this application, particularly given that, you know, the equipment's going to be craned in. And it sounds like it's the better option anyway, as far as disturbance is concerned.
Yeah, I agree.
Lauren, how long will it take to do this, to dredge the pond?
So he has signed up for 5 days for this year so far. He might extend it a couple days depending on his budget, but realistically we could probably spend 20 days in there just with how much material is in that pond. But it just all depends on his budget.
And you're going to put it all in that one area, that one pile, is that right?
Yes.
And it's mainly, I mean, this is raking, so I guess most of it's going to be, you know, leaves and that type of thing, not mud. Is that correct?
It will be some mud or muck, and then like root mat, any kind of like vegetation, leaves, debris like that. So the hydro rake will already have dewatered probably like 40% of it before it hits land, and then so it's a bigger pile at first, but after it dewaters, it really shrinks down like probably to 1/3 of the size of what it was originally. And in the summer when it's hot and sunny, it will likely be dewatered, I would say, within a couple weeks, at a month the most. So, and then it will ultimately decompose. We are going to have the landscape crew grade it out and restore that area and throw like some seeds on top and stuff so that it gets back to normal.
Anything else from anybody? Questions? Kathleen?
The only thing that I had regarding the timing of the hydro raking, that the activities in the pond should be limited to June through September. And then any restoration of the shoreline and final stabilization of the disposal area should be completed in one season if possible, just to try to keep our disturbance contained.
Yeah. And what about wildlife and fish? What do you push all that to one end, Lauren?
So typically, I mean, the hydro rake it's loud a lot of the times. They move out of the way. Operators are pretty trained, and if there's a turtle and they see it in the rake, they can put it back on the shore, and it will, or by the shore, and it will, you know, scurry off. So they're typically used to avoiding any kind of damage to wildlife. But I do think that removing this organic matter and stuff will also benefit the pond's habitat as well, allowing more of an area, increasing depth for fish, thing like that.
Anything else? Kathleen?
I have nothing further.
Oh, your yellow box light when it came on, so I thought maybe it was you. Any questions from anybody? Anything else? And we have a special condition. Is that right, Kathleen?
I think it's just a note. I think that's their intention anyway. Correct me if I'm wrong, Lauren, that you guys would be hydro raking typically between June to September.
Yep. Yeah, I think if the permitting goes through, we would probably do it in July or August, depending on our schedule.
Are you going to do anything with the dam there? I mean, when I was there, it looks like it's clogged. And are you going to work on that at all?
So I think he has plans to restore it. I'm not sure. I know it's very old and it looks like it needs some rehab. I don't think he's done anything officially or submitted anything officially, but I know he wants to fix it for sure. But we do plan to at least remove some of the material from that area.
Is that part of the application?
Yes, just hydro raking in front of the, oh, there's a note.
In front of the dam there, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, can I hear a motion?
Just before, I think we talked about having a special condition before we got cut off, which is notification when in subsequent years during the 5-year period of the permit, you are intending to come back in and hydro rake. I guess just to discuss where the crane's going to be situated and how the equipment's going to be got into the pond. Is that correct, Kathleen?
Correct. So just a notification to the Inland Wetlands Office agent regarding continuation of any dredging or hydro raking year over year within the 5-year period. Is that correct? That's what you're thinking, Angela?
Yes.
All right, can I hear a motion with that special condition?
I'll move with the condition.
I'll second.
Kristen, second. All those in favor, raise their hand. All those opposed, raise their hand. Motion's carried. Thank you, Lauren, very much.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Lauren. Sorry for the glitch.
No, no worries. It happens. Thank you.
Okay. Well, before, do you want to discuss the agent report, or is that,
Let's see.
anything there?
Let me just see. I have one other person requesting to get into the meeting, and unfortunately, I'm not seeing the person. So I'm just going to reach out to Mike Elliott here, if I can get him to unmute here, which I'm not able to do. Yeah, I'm not seeing this other person on. Oh, here we go. Okay. So okay, we've got that resolved. Okay. We're back on with Attorney Murphy or Kara Murphy. I'm not sure who that is exactly. Thanks, Mike. Back on. So we're just moving now, Mike, to the to the agent's report. So we had one administrative review that came in over this past month, and it was for 42 Dabney Road. The activities are described on the agenda. There's nothing really further to report on that. They need to go through the building permit application process. They haven't done so, to the best of my knowledge, as of yet for that application. But it is activities within the upland review area, so I have issued a wetlands permit for that location.
All right, just one other thing, for other business. You all probably received in the mail this laminated Inland Wetlands Commission member logo. Is there anyone that hasn't received it? Kristen? Kristen, you're muted.
Yeah, I have not gotten that.
Kristen, I'm going to double check the address that Lola may have sent it to, and I just wonder if she perhaps used your old address, so we'll get you that. Sent in the email, because you all are now doing your site visits independently, that I felt it'd be nice for you to have something in your windshield that identified who this car was coming to private properties. So we went ahead and laminated a bunch of signs of that column, I think, just held up, so you'd at least have something maybe a little more official looking. So that was the purpose of that being mailed out, but I will see if we can track yours down, Kristen, and get that to you.
Any other business? If not, can I hear a motion to adjourn? Who's gonna do it? Beth? Oh no, Angela's gonna do it.
Whatever. Yeah.
All right, and Beth will second it.
Second.
All those in favor? We will see you July 20th. Thank you.
Okay.
Good job, Dan.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Okay.
Night.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris, for your help.
You're very welcome. Sorry, next time we won't let that happen.
No problem. I appreciate all the support. I really do. Thank
Yeah,
you so
no,
much. Go enjoy your walk.